Great King Jesus Christ. Every time we leave home and no one will stay for a considerable time. We have the habit of keeping those things we consider valuable in places that we consider safe. In my case, normally, I protect my computer because it is very valuable to me because of the information I keep on it. I don't have a safe or anything similar in my house, but we have found certain places that seem less accessible to thieves. Obviously, I will not reveal my hiding places because they would lose their effectiveness, but the fact is that surely, like me, you also keep the things you consider valuable in safe places. Everyone does it. We put money and valuable items in safes. Companies transport their securities in armored trucks. High security vaults are built to avoid losing very valuable things. In short, everything that we consider very valuable we put in places that we consider very safe. You wouldn't put your treasure in a clear plastic bag or cardboard box. But listen to what the Apostle Paul says regarding God's actions regarding his gospel treasure, 2 Corinthians 4, 7-10. But we have this treasure in earthen vessels so that it can be seen what sublime power comes from God and not from us. We see ourselves troubled in everything, but not dejected, perplexed, but not desperate, persecuted, but not abandoned, knocked down, but not destroyed. Wherever we go, we always carry the death of Jesus in our body, so that his life may also be manifested in our body. God is pleased to display his glory and grace through using earthen vessels, the most fragile and vulnerable you can imagine, to store and preserve the treasure of the gospel of the kingdom of Jesus Christ. This month in our sermon series, Earthen Vessels, we are highlighting this feature of God's ways. The glory of God becomes even more evident when the instruments he uses are fragile, vulnerable, disposable and replaceable. In this way, there is no doubt who caused the purposes to be fulfilled. And there is no glory for the vessel but only for the potter. The more fragile the glass, the more glory the artist has. We continue this day with the Hall of Fame of clay vessels with a 553 character, perhaps not as well known as Abraham or Moses, but he also has his place in biblical history, and I am referring to Gideon. Gideon lived in one of the darkest periods of Israel's history. After the third of Egypt and the years of pilgrimage in the desert, the people had finally entered the promised land, although the conquest of the land was not completely achieved. There were still several towns that were a scourge throughout biblical history. In any case, the tribes took possession of their lands and thus began a vicious cycle of decline of the people in their relationship with God. This vicious cycle is described in Judges 2, 18-19. When the Lord raised up a leader, he also supported him, and, while that leader lived, he delivered them from the power of their enemies, for the Lord was moved when he heard the groans of his people, oppressed and afflicted. But when that leader died, the people became even more corrupt than their ancestors, and followed other gods to serve and worship